Well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself, and any of the Adam staff on can introduce themselves, and any of you joining us as well, so we all know where everyone is from. And then we'll go ahead and get started. And that way, if there's a couple people still logging on, they have time to join us yet. So I'm Marcy Fields. I'm the director here at the Fairfield County Adam Board. And thank you all who joined us for this today. And we're happy to be putting out these selective RFPs and excited to see what ideas people have for these areas of need in our community. So I'll go ahead and let our other Adam staff who are on the call today and can help me answer some questions. I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
So I can start. I'm Tony
Thank
Ashton.
you.
I'm the prevention coordinator at the Adam H Board.
Hi, I'm Calvin Robinson. I'm the Finance and Operations Director at the Adam H Board.
Hi, I'm Latina Duffy. I'm the Public Relations Coordinator at the Adam H Board, and I'm strictly listening to gather information. So I wouldn't ask me many questions because I'm probably going to be clueless, but thank you.
I'll follow Latina. I'm Justine, and I'm in the IT department. Again, just listening to gather information.
I'm Miranda Gray, and I am the program coordinator.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I will be on video shortly, but this is Maureen Muth. I am the clinical care coordinator for the Adam H Board. Good morning.
And I'm Cassandra Woodford. I'm the AmeriCorps Vista member at the Adam H Board.
Thank you. I think that's everybody from our office. So go ahead. I see we have a few folks from the community joining us or from agencies. We'll start with Renee. I think she was the first one on the call today. So if you all want to introduce yourselves, that'd be great.
Okay, I was trying to unmute myself. This is Renee Klovke. I'm with New Horizons Mental Health.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Wilson. I'm with the Family, Adult, and Children First Council.
Thanks for joining us, Tiffany.
I'm Amanda Wattenberg, Interim Executive Director for Ohio Guidestone in Central Ohio.
Thanks, Amanda.
I'm Monica Onwuka, Director at the Fairfield Center of Hope, and I got Kelly here with me. Good morning.
Thanks. Good morning, guys. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll, anyone else that joins us late, we'll go ahead and admit them. Oh, there, we just had one. We just had Pam joining us, I believe, from Integrated. I'm mostly going to walk through the timeline and what we're looking, the timeline and sort of technical aspects of this RFP process. Welcome, Pam. I'm sorry, we just did introductions, but did want to let you know that we are recording this session. So you can certainly go back and take a look at it when we send out the recording if you didn't catch or don't know anyone that's on the call. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hopefully by now you've all seen the actual RFPs on our website. They are fillable PDFs. And you know that we have 4 areas that we're looking for proposals in. And I really just wanted to kind of talk through the overall process and where to find things. And we might look at a couple of the budget forms. I think those are probably the ones that people might have the most questions about. We can also pull up the actual RFP form. Obviously, we've sort of put a consistent message out there of what we're looking for in content. We don't want to really get into that a lot because this is a competitive RFP process. So what we're looking for in content is out there, but if you have questions about the process, the form, and technical issues, we will ongoingly address those as we get through the process. So you'll see on the actual PDF that we have live links on there, and those live links are also on our website if you need them. The first thing people need to know is we really need you to submit what we're calling an intent to submit a proposal. Obviously, there's no no requirements that if you change your mind later, no penalties, but we do want you to submit that so we know who is looking at submitting a proposal. So that as we update the questions and answers on the website, or if anything changes, we know who to contact. So we do appreciate it. Your deadline for that is January 12th, but the sooner you get your intent in there, the sooner you'll get updates from us if there are any. And that's just a very quick, easy form to fill out. Really, we just ask for your name, contact information, your organization, and what areas you might be submitting proposals in of the 4 different areas. And then that just gives us your contact info. So again, I would encourage you to do that sooner than later so that we know who is out there looking at submitting a proposal and we can keep you updated. Then there's also a link to submit questions, and we will answer questions up until January 12th. So you're welcome to submit them there in writing, and we will also be posting those questions on our website. Again, we want to try to stay consistent and fair and balanced. So we will post those on the website so anyone can see how we answered the question, and there's no, issue of we answered one person's question but not someone else's. So just so you know, we will be posting those on our website. And then, of course, the most important one is there's a link there to actually submit your proposals. And we do want those as one packaged as one PDF. And you will notice on the PDF, on the actual fillable PDF, there's a couple sections. Section 1 is the general information, and we only need one of those from your organization. So if you're planning on submitting multiple proposals, multiple programs, we just need you to fill out section 1 one time, and then you can submit multiple section 2s to us for your different programs. And once we get your intent to submit form, we will send you, if you need them, extra copies of just section 2. I mean, I know some people can separate those out from a PDF and copy them, and I know others of us aren't as tech savvy, so, and that's okay. So once we get your intent to submit, we will send you an additional section 2 copy, just in case you're doing more than one proposal. And we will also send you an additional form. It's an Excel budget form. We don't have that posted on our website because it's really probably more complicated to make it a PDF. So we want to keep it as an Excel document, and it's difficult to post those on our website. So we're going to send that to you via email once we get your intent to submit a proposal. And just wanted to review that the complete RFP package that we would expect from you would be one section 1 and all the other section 3 and the signatures and the checklists, and then as many section 2s as you are submitting as programs. So if you're just submitting one program proposal to us, great. It'll be one of all the sections. If you're submitting a couple program proposals, then we would expect a section 2 on each program you're submitting. And then each program would also include one of the PDF budget forms that we also have posted on our website. And that, I believe, is called a program expense budget. And that is a fillable PDF. And that's your typical budget you guys are used to seeing, that just tells us how, we're asking for this much money to do this program, and this is how we are going to spend the money. We can answer questions about it, but I do believe it's fairly self-explanatory. The other document you will get once we get your intent to submit is an Excel document, and it's a second budget form, and it is called Provider Budget by Service. In a little bit here, I'll share my screen to show you that one. It's a little more complicated. We're using that one because we're required by the state to report to them what various services we're paying for in our agencies. And this just sort of helps us determine what services you're planning on providing and how much your budget for each one. Don't panic if you look at it and are confused. We will answer questions today, and technical questions about what the different areas mean is something you can always submit as a question. And honestly, if you get it wrong, that's okay. Whoever we end up contracting with, we'll sit down and negotiate this piece of it if we think you might have gotten it wrong. But it is nice for us to know ahead of time sort of what service areas, as the state defines them, that you're thinking your program will cover. I don't know if there's anything initially you want to say about that now, Calvin?
No, I mean, I think you covered it, Marcy. I really like what you're saying. It is kind of a work in progress. We know it's new. We are required to report that information to the state. So we've got time to work through that, and we can and will work with you on determining, hey, where should this be classified, so that we all know. It really is kind of outside of the RFP. Obviously, we're looking for the quality of services there and the people that we reach. This is really just kind of, a technical issue that I'll work directly with the providers to figure out where we want to, where it best should be coded.
Thank you. So your total RFP package is going to contain your section 1 about your organization, as many section 2s as you're going to submit for programs. And then a section 3, which is mostly us telling you how we're going to evaluate your proposal, but you are going to check mark that you did read it and agree to it. And then section 4, which is just a checklist of all the assurances that we typically do with a contract, and then your signatures. So we really just need one of section 1, 3, and 4. And then if you're submitting multiple program proposals, we need multiple section 2s and a program expense budget for each one of your section 2s. Now the Excel document, and I will share that before we leave this session today. The Excel budget, you really only have to do one because we've got multiple columns for multiple programs, if that makes sense. And I'll share my screen to show you that when we get to it. But that would be the process, that by January 19th, I believe we said by 5 p.m., we would need your actual program or your actual proposal submitted as one PDF with all those elements in it. And on the intent to submit a proposal, we included on there that if you need help putting your PDF together, our executive assistant is happy to assist with that. Again, I know every agency is at a different level of technology, and putting a full PDF together and putting all your forms into PDF version is easy for some people and a little more complicated for others. So we are happy to help with that technical assistance if you need it. So I'm going to stop here and start with the RFP fillable PDF itself and ask if anyone has questions immediately about the actual PDF fillable form for the 4 program areas we're looking for proposals in. Okay, well then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to show you the budget form that is not available on our website yet, because I do believe you might have questions about that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is share the score sheet with you. There is a PDF copy of the score sheet on our website that hopefully you've seen. A little bit of language tweaks have been made to that, so I do want to show you those updates today. But mostly it's the same, and I want to answer any questions you might have about the score sheet. So I am going to share my screen to show you the Excel document that is the okay. I'm not sure. Are you seeing my? Usually I have a nice little band around it. I'm not sure I'm sharing the right screen. Are you seeing the Excel document at this point? Can you guys see? It's not showing me the usual. I'm gonna try this one more. You could see
Yeah, it was up there.
Yep.
Okay, good. Usually I get this nice little box around it when it's being shared, and I didn't see it, so I was worried it wasn't sharing. Okay. Again, hopefully you can see this. This is the Excel document you will get sent to you once you give us your intent to submit a proposal. It's a little scary at first, but don't worry, it's not that bad. First of all, you'll see across the top, we put enter name of your program here. This is an editable document. So certainly if you want to update this with your actual program name here, that's great. And then we know what program it's referring to. So you can just change the text of it. Then another thing to comment on is there's more of these. So if for some reason, I don't know that anybody would, but if for some reason you're giving us more programs than 5, you can unhide the columns between here and here and give you more columns. I think for the RFP process, I can't imagine that anyone's going to submit that many programs. And then here you can just put your total. This is what, in this box, this is what you're asking for. We're asking for this much money for this program. And then, as you can see, the agencies that do clinical services right now, some of this is going to make more sense to them. A lot of these are what we call CPT codes. So our agencies or any agency that's currently doing clinical services, billing it to Medicaid or commercial insurance, that's going to make more sense to them than a lot of you, and that's okay. Also, if you click on some of these, they're links and they take you to a better description of where, of what that means. So you can click right there on the link and it'll take you there. But these are more treatment-oriented services. You do have things like right here, it's not necessarily a CPT code, but there's the peer-run organizations, employment services, peer recovery services. But these are all mostly treatment services. And then, again, don't yell at us. These are the state's categories, not us. Then there are prevention categories, and I will caution you that prevention definitely meets some very unique criteria. So, if you aren't familiar with what is defined as a prevention program, you might want to sort of research that. You need to be certified as an agency able to provide prevention in order to do a true prevention program. So we can answer more questions about that, but I think it's easy for those of us that have never done or aren't typically doing prevention to say, oh, that sounds like what we're doing. But actually prevention is a very, very detailed and well-defined program, and an agency has to be certified by OMAS to provide those services. And then there's housing services, and again, OMAS has different categories and definitions for that. And then there's the miscellaneous, which a lot of your programs might fall under this, and that's fine. Again, these are definitions that the state has created and require us to report on. So that's why we thought it would be interesting and helpful to know where you think your programs will fall, how much of your budget will fall under the different 040 categories. And if you're a clinical agency with a finance person, they're going to know they're probably seen this before. Those of you that are not clinical treatment agencies billing services, this is probably going to look much more complicated and a little overwhelming. Again, don't worry about it. Attempting to do this is going to count. We're not really going to score anybody on how accurate this is. That's not the point. We just want you to give it a try on where you think your services fall. And then we are looking at the other documents really for your score and your evaluation, and we'll finish this or fix it later if you don't get it right. So I'm going to stop here. Calvin, anything else you want to say about this? And then also any questions you all have about this form?
No, and we actually file this report every year. We file a budget every year. So it really is kind of just looking at what we've been filing. I think generally we've been submitting an accurate filing, but it's a great opportunity for us to ask questions about the program specifically, make sure we have it classified correctly, get your feedback about the program. So as Marcy said, don't sweat this. It really is kind of outside of the scope of the RFP. That's really more, program related. This is just kind of, hey, we've got to check the box. We've got to do our due diligence, and happy to work with you or people at your agency to get this right.
Any questions anyone has about this form before we move on? All right. I think what I'd like to do next is share the score sheet. And a little bit of the language that we changed, really just trying to make this as objective as possible. Before I share my screen with that document, I want to let you know that we will have a small group scoring all of the proposals we get. The program staff in our agency will be scoring them, reading them, and using the evaluation criteria. So staff from our office will be doing it. And then we have about maybe 6 volunteers off of our board members that would like to help score these. So it'll be an ad hoc group of board staff and board members that will read the proposals and use the scoring evaluation sheet. Not sure yet how we'll divide up the reviewers. It depends on how many proposals we get. If we don't get very many, everybody might review all the proposals. If we get a lot of proposals, we have to split it up. We'll do it within each RFP category. Obviously, if you get somebody that's a really tough score, it's not fair if one agency only gets them and the other people don't get them. So within each category, and our categories are youth wellness and support, support groups, homeless outreach, and in-home senior behavioral health care services. So within each one of those 4 categories would be the same reviewers if we need to split them up. So to try to make it as fair as possible. So if you get the tough reviewer, so does everybody else that submitted a proposal in that category. Any questions, first of all, about the scoring and evaluation process? And I'll share my screen with the score sheet on it in just a second here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen then. And tell me if you cannot see it, but this should be our score sheet. This will also be a fillable PDF for our reviewers. You just had a copy of it on the website for you to look at. Obviously, we're trying to get as much information on here from reviewers so we can make good, informed decisions about who we end up funding. Oops, sorry. So it starts out with points for if the organization, which is the applicant, already has a site or services in Fairfield County. And part of that reason is we're really looking for programs that can get up and running. We know that implementation for new programs has been an issue, really statewide. I mean, we're hearing it everywhere because of the workforce development issues and because of COVID. So first of all, we want to be sure these are programs that can get up and running. And we realize that if it's an organization that doesn't do anything or doesn't know Fairfield County, it's probably going to be tougher to get up and running. So we're going to award 5 points right off the bat for organizations that are already here in Fairfield County. Then the next question is another 5 points for an agency that either has the right certification to offer what it is they're offering, or some other type of certification. But obviously, we want to be sure that the organizations providing services have the right certification or license to do that. And so we're looking for 5 points there. And again, you might be proposing something you're not currently certified in. Explain that in your proposal, because we will expect whatever type of service an organization is proposing that they will either be or will be able to be certified or licensed by an oversight organization to provide that. And then most of the questions obviously are going to be in this section 2. And this just kind of tells you what we're looking at, some of the emphasis of our board right now. We're going to want to know, to be able to read from your proposal, what is it you're going to do? So it's going to be very important that these proposals are clear and concise. It's a fillable PDF, so at some point you're going to run out of room. So we would hopefully, we would like you to be as clear and concise so that anybody can read it, even somebody from our board that maybe isn't a provider and isn't as close to services as the staff are, should be able to read it and know what you're saying you're going to do. Who's the program for, and what distinct activities will be done in the program. And as you can see, there's going to be different points for that. If it's clear and defined, there's 5 points. And if what you're going to do seems consistent with the need area, If it's for youth, we should be able to tell that's consistent with what youth need. Then that's a 15 points. And then as far as the program description, there's a total of 25 points available in this section, and you can just kind of read through it. We divided it into items that we think are important. The agency's qualification and expertise. Have you done this program before or something similar? And if you have, what was there is success there. Also just with the population as well as the service bucket. And that might be an interesting new concept for some agencies that aren't familiar with how this ADAM board has chosen to define what they do. But that is in the proposal. There are funding buckets that are treatment, crisis, recovery supports, prevention, and capacity development. So we're also interested if maybe an agency is proposing a program that they haven't done before, but they have a lot of experience in that same sort of recovery supports or treatment bucket. That's important to know too. And the training that's needed for it has been done. And then we do have a timeline in the RFP. And again, this is partially because we know everywhere in the state, when new money is there and agencies have decided to do new services, implementation has been a problem. Partially because it's hard to find staff, but partially just in this new COVID world also impacts it. So we want to know, is the plan that you put in there to staff your program and to get it up and implemented, is it reasonable? And does it sound like it could be achieved? And then accessibility and client preferences are very important to this ADAM board right now, that and impact. So if you haven't heard that before, our ADAM board right now is very, very interested that their money is being spent on services that have an impact, that do what we think they're going to do. So kind of bang for your buck type situation. We're also very interested in accessibility. We have a couple board members that are quite interested in that, and it makes sense. If we're paying for a service or a program that nobody's using, it doesn't really help. So we want to know how you're going to be sure that your service or your program you're proposing is going to be accessible. People can get it when they need it. So we want you to clearly define that to us. And as you can see, if you have a description about how you're going to monitor accessibility as an internal CQI measure, that gets you even more points. But we want to know a clear and specific plan, not just the statement of it. Yes, we plan to make it accessible is not going to be good enough. We want to know how you're going to make it accessible. And client preference and client satisfaction in delivery of the program is very important to us too. Evidence-based is very important. Oops, sorry, went too far. We know that not every program is going to be sort of recognized as evidence-based. So, explain as much as you can to us. Maybe it's a promising practice that's on its way to becoming evidence-based. Maybe, the actual program you're proposing is really new and innovative and hasn't been proven as evidence-based yet, but you're going to use evidence-based tools to assess your outcomes, your satisfaction. That's great. Tell us about it. So, you're going to get either 8 to 10 points, depending on whether it is a full-blown evidence-based program that's been recognized in literature and in research as being evidence-based, or whether it's a promising practice and or has evidence-based tools applied to it. And then obviously, if there's some sort of fidelity standards involved that you attempt to follow, that's more points. And if you actually participate in an outside independent entity coming to evaluate you based on that fidelity review, that's even more points. And we know that not every program model has that yet, so that's okay. But obviously, it really bolsters that whole evidence-based claim if there are actually fidelity standards. And then again, outcomes and data collection, that's very important. So we're asking if you're proposing clear, measurable, meaningful outcomes. We want to know how you're going to track that. It's great to say I'm going to measure all these things, but in the end, if you don't have a way to track it and we don't get those outcomes, again, it's kind of a waste. So we want to know how you plan to track them. We also just want to know how you think your outcomes will show the impact. if it's something that we can share with the community about all the great things you're doing through your outcomes, we want to know that. And if your agency has sort of a history of being able to collect data and successfully present that, tell us about that. That counts in your favor. Again, sustainability and funding, there's questions on this. We just want to know if there's some like funding involved, if there's shared funding, or if you have a plan for funding in the future, that'd be great. As many of you know, we have a pretty set revenue budget at the ADAM board. And we love adding new programs, but at some point we're not gonna be able to add any more new programs because we'll run out of revenue every year to be able to do that. So it's really helpful if people can start programs with our funding and then have a way to sustain it, either partially using us or being able to move away from our funding, because then that allows us to fund different and new programs every year. So that's important to us as well. And then of course, there's a lot of questions here about budget. We want to know exactly what we're funding. What is it we're going to fund? What happens if we don't fund it? What makes your program unique and special? We want to know clearly what you would define the unit being billed is. And again, we can provide some technical assistance on that if you're unclear what that means. We're trying to put all of our services being billed through our GOSH billing system now, which means we need to think about what is it we're actually paying for, and can we define that as a unit of service to make it easier to bill. And in some ways, I think it makes it a lot easier for us to demonstrate what we're paying for exactly, and for you to demonstrate what you're providing exactly. We want to know about why you think what you're providing is cost efficient. Part of it might be you're avoiding your service will avoid higher cost services down the road. It might be how you're actually doing is cost efficient. And then of course the budget templates are attached. And when we say correctly completed, don't panic. We know, as we just said, that Excel spreadsheet might be a little confusing. Really, as long as you attempt it and attach it and include it in your PDF, we'll be fine with that. The expense budget one is probably a little more important because we want to be able to know what exactly it is we're funding, what you're going to spend the money on. And then these are just, you saw we have check boxes for assurances. Every single one of those assurances are things we ask for in our current contracts. So this is not anything new or additional. It's just what we're going to add. We're going to put it in your contract if we contract with you. So we want you to know what you're getting into ahead of time. And then obviously we need the proposal submitted within the time frame. If you submit it late, unfortunately, we won't be able to consider it. And that was it. So I will stop here. First, any questions you have, and if any ADAM staff have anything to add that I might have forgotten or not mentioned, please chime in. Any questions on the score sheet or how we're going to score things? Anybody wants to ask? Okay. So I think at this point, I'm just going to open it up to questions. Anything you've seen in here, any questions you have about our process or how we're going to do it. Again, I will tell you, we will absolutely accept any technical questions. It's a fillable PDF. We could run, there could be, we tested it all, but it's possible that you might have issues technically with the form. Please let us know right away and we'll fix that for you. You may have questions as you're going through this about the technical aspects of it. We're happy to answer those questions. Again, we will share it on our website. I think everybody knows this, but just so you do know, we are a public entity, a government agency. So your proposals you give to us will become public as well. And they will be subject to public records rules. If we get a request or to look at a proposal. Once you submit it to us, it is subject to those public record rules. So any questions? And please chime in, Adam staff, if I've forgotten anything at all about this process or what we're doing. And if you want, we do have the PDF budget form. If you'd like the program expense budget form, I'm happy to share my screen with that one and answer any questions about it as well. I'll just real quick go to that one in case there were any questions. It's also a fillable PDF, as you can see, and it's a pretty standard budget form. It should add up. So, and some of these things we realize might not actually translate into units. But if it is something that's a unit and then rate per unit, that's helpful. That will give us our grand total. Again, this started with a standard budget template that the state uses, and then we kind of added to it for things we thought you might need. I would just plug in your costs wherever it seems like they most fit. And if it's not exactly fit in that category, it's a little different, just describe it. You've got a whole narrative box there. So just feel free to describe it. If you're putting it there, but you realize it might not 100% match, just describe to us what it is. Obviously we have it direct costs, which is the cost to your staff, equipment, furniture, printing, copies, supplies, and then indirect costs are more things like rent, lease, maintenance, repair, insurance. Again, we modeled this, started with the state budget template that they have all of our agencies fill out for grants, and then we kind of added to it. Any questions you'd like me to highlight or point out on this form, anyone?
Hey, Marcy, so when this is submitted, we just combine this with the other form, correct? PDF, and then submit it as one. That's what you guys wanted, correct?
Yes, so one PDF file that has all these forms in it, correct. And again, if you guys need help putting that PDF together, we're happy to help. We do have, the full version of Adobe. We can pull documents into a PDF. I know some of you are able to do that. Great. If not, Jackie is more than happy to help, and we will have her reach out to any agencies that in the intent to submit a proposal say, yes, we need help with this. She'll reach out to you, and you can send all your documents to her, and she can organize it into a PDF for you.
I have a question. Since this is fiscal year 23, does that mean this would be July 2022 to June 2023?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, that does seem like a long time from now, doesn't it?
It really does, but no, that's good, because I was like, do we have to implement right away? But no, that actually makes it better.
Yes, this is for fiscal year 23. It does seem like that's a long way away. Part of the requirements we have is to put together anybody we're going to contract with for fiscal year 23. We're supposed to give them sort of their minimum. This is what we're going to do by March 1st, 120 days out from when the contract starts. So that's why we're starting so early. Yeah, go. Amanda, do you have a question?
Yes, so I just want to confirm across all 4 categories, you only want one PDF, or do you want one PDF per each of the RFP categories?
So we're thinking one PDF, and it would have multiple section 2s in it if you're going to do multiple programs, if you're going to propose multiple programs.
Multiple programs across the different, like 2 in the homeless, 1 in the youth, etc. All one document. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Any other questions?
I'm sorry if you already said this, Marcy, but is there a deadline for the intent to submit? I know you said as soon as possible, but
The actual deadline is January 12th. So you could go all the way up to a week before the proposals are due. but it's good for us to know ahead of time. That way, if for some reason there is any kind of change or addition or information we want to get to you, or, you know, we're going to put the questions and answers after today. This session that's being recorded will go to our YouTube channel. We'll put the link to the YouTube channel on our website. And we'll also send, you know, an update to anybody that's submitted an intent to submit a proposal. So it just kind of creates our contact list for people that might be submitting an RFP. So the earlier you can get that to us, the better. That way, once the recording is up, once we put questions and answers up, you'll get a notification that, hey, that's up on the website. That's to make sure that if you're going to submit a proposal, you know what's going on, you know that we put that there for you.
So once it's the RFP is submitted by January 19th, that's when we'll get the Excel sheet, or no?
So you'll get the Excel sheet as soon as you submit an intent to propose. That's going to be part of your overall PDF, but we just don't want you to panic thinking that's going to be counted for or against you. We know that that Excel spreadsheet is a little confusing. We just want you to do it and give us a good try at it, but it won't be counted for or against you, depending, you know, how close you get on that one.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? So again, thank you for highlighting the deadlines. The intent to submit a proposal is required. You have until January 12th to get that to us. Again, it's just a link. It's a very simple form. Any questions, we will take questions through the link until January 12th. And we will respond to you with the answer, as well as putting it up on the website, the same page where all the other RFP stuff is. And the actual proposal is due on the 19th. And then we will be scoring them. And the goal is to have our board approve who we're going to award these proposals, who we're going to award a contract opportunity to by our February board meeting. And I believe that February board meeting is 22nd, I believe. So that's kind of our timeline. Yes, 22nd. So we have to have everything ready for our recommendation. Obviously, it's the board who will vote on it, but the committee of staff and board members who score the proposals will have our recommendation ready for the board on February 22nd. And they will vote on what proposals they will award the opportunity for a contract, and then we'll start talking to you about the details of a contract. And again, the intent to submit is important so that we know who you are and we can send any updates. And there we will send you the Excel budget form, the newest version of the score sheet we're going to use, and any other documents that you might need once we get that intent to submit a proposal. Any other questions? We're willing to entertain any questions here. There's no silly questions, so feel free to ask anything. And again, if you are not comfortable asking that question here, there is the link for questions. Feel free to submit your questions there, and we will get that to you. And we'll also put it up on the website, because other people might be thinking the same thing and also not sure what to ask. So feel free to submit your questions there as well. Last call. Any questions, anything you want to ask or comment on? All right. Well, thank you all. We appreciate you joining us today. we will get this link out to all of you as well as anyone else who submits their intent to propose. And we will continue to take your questions through the link that's on the website and the RFP. Thanks.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.